Right. Well, let folks roll in and get settled and get their afternoon beverage. I've got.
Oh my gosh, I see so many names I recognize, but I want to see your faces. Turn your webcams on. Keep yourself muted, and John's going to mute you, but let's see each other. I need to see your beautiful faces in my life.
There we go.
Hi, Molly. Hi, Annette. Hi, Elizabeth. Oh my gosh, all these people I know. Wait, there's no more names I know. I know a lot of these names.
Success. I'm already chalking this up. I'm chalking this up to success already. This is what we all need.
Yes, I so need this. I'm an extrovert, so even though I've been working from home for 6 years, I mean, I'm usually in person a lot too, which definitely balances out, but I very purposefully meet with my other work from home friends several times a week on Zoom. Like we all have a system set up. So this is really, really helpful to me. Hi, Dave. Oh my gosh, Dave's here. Woohoo.
Well, this is great. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for coming in. This is great to see everybody. As I've been mentioning on my side and on Twitter, the intention is, I think we've already checked the box, really. The intention here, be super casual, get to connect with people and see other people. If you're like me, you're at home with maybe kids, a spouse. My spouse works in a hospital, so we have a whole decontainment area when she comes home from work. So so everybody is figuring out, and it's great to see everybody. I forgot to do this yesterday, but I'm going to try to do this more. So today's dataviz T-shirt is the Jon Snow cholera map. So every day I'll try to have a new dataviz T-shirt. So again, we're just going to keep this pretty casual. I thought Ann and I would talk for whatever 15, 20 minutes or something like that, and then I'll open it up and let people ask questions. If you have questions, just pop them in the chat box. So if there's a ton, then I can just sort of prime you, Ann, and if not, I will, or if there's just a few, I'll just unmute people and they can just chat with you, and we'll try to keep it as orderly as possible. So I know, Ann, you see a lot of familiar faces here, but for those who aren't familiar with you, maybe you can just talk about your work and where you are right now, and anything else. Yeah, so floor's yours.
Great. Actually, wait, John, this will be more fun for me.
Okay. All right.
And I push this back on you. I am actually really curious to see how you describe my work and where I live, because I think you know more about me than most people. So let's see what you know and how you describe it.
All right. So I think if I had to give the short encapsulation of what you do and what a lot of us do, is I would call you a data communicator, which encapsulates not just data visualization, not just presentation skills, but all the things that are required to actually communicate data. So especially in your case, the one thing that I always look to you for expertise on is how to make reports, which tend to be, and it could be any length, 200 or 5 pages or a page, whatever length they are, how to make them look engaging and something that people want to read. So I would just say data communicator. It's not like a cool title the way like Moritz is like truth and beauty operator, but I'm not creative in that way. So
no, that's definitely correct.
Now where you are.
Yeah, I'll try to explain that. We'll see.
Yeah,
so
I don't exactly know how to explain where you are.
Yeah. Okay, let's go for it. I'm gonna just spill the beans today because, like, why not? The sky's falling in. Might as well just be myself for once.
You're amongst friends here.
Huh?
You're amongst friends in this room.
I am. I'm among friends. And actually many people know this about me already, people who are here. So up until 8 days ago, when I abruptly had to leave a training early, like at 1:55 p.m., when all the staff got an email saying, you're working from home, leave. Like, get your stuff from your office, leave. And I was like, okay, I guess we're done for the day. So up until 8 days ago, I would travel around the world teaching data visualization and about dashboards and reports and presentations in person. So that works on hold for a while, like who knows how long, none of us know that. And then I also do webinars. I do a lot of online courses. Thank goodness. We can talk about that if we want to. That work just got more important than ever and a huger priority for me than ever. and I do consulting. So working on reports, dashboards, infographics, presentations. But because my job until recently was very, very mobile, I got really tired of being away from my kids. I've got 2 little kids, 4 and 1. So when I was pregnant with kid number 2, my husband and I started brainstorming, like, this isn't going to work, me being on the road all the time and having like golden handcuffs of feeling like I couldn't turn down these jobs because they were so good and so interesting, but yet I'd be away from my family, and I was just feeling this tension. So we sold almost everything a year ago, and we've been living in Airbnbs and hotels around the world with my job, traveling with my job. So last week we were in the DC area, and we'd planned to be there 2 or 3 weeks doing a lot of different in-person trainings in Virginia and Maryland and DC. But because those trainings are postponed or turned into virtual trainings, you know, who knows, we decided at like midnight on Saturday to like a week ago Saturday to just pack up our Jeep. And we were like, let's get out of here. We can't be in this 1-bedroom apartment on lockdown. Like, we'll go crazy. I still need to work. And we're like, where can we go where we can get some sunshine? So we just drove at like 2 a.m. to Florida. And just drove so the kids would sleep. Like, a lot of people have done that. So we are actually outside of Disney World, where it's basically a ghost town. There's the full-time retired people who live here all the time, who are like out at the pool during the day. And then when they go to like eat dinner and stuff, then we go to the pool so that we won't get them sick. And the grocery stores have some food. So we're good. We're going to be in Florida for at least a few weeks and just kind of see. So having this nomadic lifestyle is simultaneously terrifying because who knows where we're going to live next, but it's also very freeing knowing that we can be nimble a little bit and kind of see how things go. So yeah, that's what we're up to. So this is my my spare bedroom in this Airbnb that we're renting for the while. Yep. Lovely.
So I thought maybe I want to talk about your working from home setup, because I'm sure a lot of people have questions, and there's already one in the chat window about that. And you have a lot of experience with that. But maybe we could start, you could pick any topic you want, like anything about data communication. I mean, I can give you one, but maybe just like one technique or trend that you've seen in the last year or so that you think is going to continue. Let's for the moment, just the world will come back to normal at some point. So what is that one trend or one challenge even that you've seen that kind of keeps popping up for the folks you're working with?
The need to not just be a good writer, but to also be great with speaking skills. I feel like the humanity behind the data and connecting with people and facilitating good meetings and like being a great presenter in person and online, that is only growing. And I've seen that with clients all around the world in all different industries, that they know they can't just write reports, but they also know they can't just make pretty slides with good data. So I'm getting asked a lot, actually, in my consulting, to do a lot more public speaking training, which is fascinating because I just kind of learned how on the job as I went. Until recently, I did take an actual class and it was life-changing. And I feel like now, even if we all who knows, we get to go back to work in a week or something, even for right now, people are being asked to present data on video more than ever. So those skills are critical, absolutely critical, more important than ever.
Right. What about, we were just talking before we launched this, we were talking about this possible change in how reports are built, written, and published. What is your, but assuming that when we go back to our normal world, what are your, when you're working with clients and working with people, what are your main things that you're trying to help them think about as they're taking that report? It's typed up in Word or just copying and pasting graphs in, and it's in Times New Roman or Calibri. Like, how do you help them? I think I'm more interested in asking you how you help them think about doing a better job in that workflow.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of a group that I met with just 2 weeks ago in California. I was there at the UC Davis campus and I was doing a big keynote, but then they also said, as long as you're here, can we borrow you for 3 or 4 hours and do like a small group consulting meeting with our group of 10? And it was the people writing the report, but it was also the people receiving the report, which I didn't know going into it, but I kind of figured out over the couple of hours that we spent together, like, wait a second, I think these are the clients of theirs. And yeah, like I wish I would have known, but I didn't. So what we were focused on, yeah, because I'm like, well, like, let's change this and let's change this. And the clients are like, yeah, like they're nodding the whole time. So what we focused on in that meeting, and this is like across the board, is let's not put all our eggs in one basket with one dissemination format. So I'm thinking of, we literally pulled up actually your pyramids from the Urban Institute about what types of formats you might need for what types of audiences. And even though your Urban Institute pyramids are very like policy focused, it wasn't quite the same dissemination formats, like the like social media images and reports and slideshows and policy briefs. That list of formats that they might choose from is different, but the take home message was the same of, we need to have more than just a report, and we can't just have an executive summary. Like those days are long behind us. So we were thinking, okay, let's do basically the bare minimum needed for the report and not really worry about that, and spend as much time and effort as possible also making a quick dashboard, also doing an infographic, also doing some images that are standalone images for social media, also doing a slideshow. So sure, the body of the report matters, and like we could talk for days about specific things you can do to the body of your report, but I feel like more and more I'm telling people, like, let's limit the time we're spending on reports so that we have time to do all of these other things that are going to meet different audiences' needs as well.
Right. Well, let's turn to the working from home, because you've been doing this now. How long have you been on the road?
A year. Yeah, a year, but working from home for 6 years. Yeah.
So can you talk about, I think there's already, and I'll weave Dave's question in here. Dave has a question on the light reflecting off of his glasses. So I think probably everybody would be interested in hearing about your setup. I know you have a bunch of blog posts about this that people can go check out, but maybe give us, your top 3 tips for setting up a good home office, especially for webinars for this sort of thing.
Yeah. Let me write this down so I don't forget, and remind me if I forget any. So I think what I want to talk you through is audio, audio tips, lighting tips, and then your actual public speaking into the camera tips. So let's start with audio. Okay, number 1, that's the easiest. Audio would be, you have to use a separate microphone. So the bare bones, like bottom on all of your work from home video calls, which you're gonna have to get on video, because and you have to turn your webcam on. Like, that's why I encourage, like, lots of you, like, turn your webcam on, because people need human connection more than ever. There's also some studies, I see lots of webcams turning on. Yeah, we need it. Like, we need to see each other. There's also some studies I learned from a public speaking coach that something like only 40% of communication is words. The other 60% is seeing my face, seeing my expressions, hands, like hand movements, very intentional body movements that we can talk about. It's things like speed, the pace of your voice. Do I talk really, really fast when I'm explaining something? Or do I slow down and take a deep breath? And that has a completely different feel to it. So if you get 40% through the emails and like maybe a little bit more through the phone calls, you get everything, almost everything through a video call. So we have to turn our video on, okay? Which means you have to look and sound great on your video. Okay, so audio, the basic bare bones would be using your computer's built-in mic. If that's all you got, that's all you got. Okay, we're all making do right now. A step up would be whatever headphones or earbuds came with your cell phone, like John's got in, because those have built-in speakers. So either you have the little wireless ones, that's gonna be better than just using your computer, or the kind that I have with like the little string hanging around your neck so that's gonna be a little bit better. And my wish for you, if they're available, if you can even order them online, would actually be a separate microphone. This is the Blue Yeti Micro or Nano, the smaller Yeti. I used to use the full-size Yeti, but when I started traveling so much around the world, it didn't fit in my backpack. So this one's like 2 inches smaller. So something in the like $50 to $100 range for microphones is what you need. I also have something called a pop guard. That's like a $10 kind of thing that helps with your P's, like popping noises, but it's downstairs, like who knows where that is. So, you know, there's all these kind of levels you can do with audio. Lighting is critical. The number one thing to remember with lighting is, let me move you so you can see how bad this is gonna get. You don't wanna be backlit. Backlit means your natural light source is behind you. Your face is shadowy. People can't connect with you if they can't see your face. So you have to make sure you're not backlit. The best thing would be to have the natural light source in front of you, but then you're also factoring in what's behind you. And like, I don't usually like to have bedrooms behind me. I usually try to have more of a professional wall and not make it look like I'm just in a bedroom. But who cares right now? Because everybody else is working from home. I just got freed up to like not have to worry about that anymore. So if I would have had the natural light on my face, it would have been just kind of like the door over here, which is still fine. You're gonna have to clean up your background. Don't look cluttered. Like go clean up everything. You know, make sure your bookshelf or whatever you have, your poster is like pretty. Okay, so natural lighting. Make sure you're not backlit. I am a huge fan of separate lights. Now let me fix my tripod because I'll show you how the lights actually look. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3 separate LED panels on me, and I have the window kind of halfway open, and I have the overhead light on, and I have both lamps on that are not backlit because they're so little. It's more just for like decoration and like maybe to help this much with lighting. I'm gonna turn my LED panels off and look at how bad it gets. Okay, so let me just turn them off real quick. I mean, it's unusable video. Like you can't sell it online. Of course, it looks like that, and you can't like this is unusable video, and that's with the overhead light on and 2 lamps and the window open. And even with the window on me, it would still be basically unusable. You can't connect with somebody like that. It doesn't matter how amazing and life-changing your dashboard is or your presentation is and all of your graphs. If people don't know, like, and trust you as the presenter, it doesn't matter at all. I think trust factors with data are huge. So that's why I use separate LED panels. And I don't know if they're backward or not, but I'll show you what they look like. I mean, look at that with the panels. So the panels that you're looking for, you can get the circular ones. They're called diva lights because so many YouTubers use them, especially for singing, for makeup tutorials, things like that. I don't use the circular ones because they can't be moved. Like if you're in your home office, great, you're fine. But for me, I'm moving around like every couple weeks to a new place. I'm going and like I'm checking them in check bags in the airport. I can't risk them breaking. So I have 3 rectangular ones from the Savage brand. And what you're shopping for with LED panels, and these are $100 each. I used to have 0, and then I bought 1, and then I bought 2, and then I bought 3, and 3 is like the perfect amount for me. What you're shopping for though is, I don't know if you can see here, there's little knobs on them. Do you see these? The knobs? Yeah. So they go from, I'll turn it like this so I'm not blinding you too much, but they go from bright to light, right? Light, bright. And I'll talk about how bright you want them. And then they go from, can you see this? This is blue light, white, like whiter light, cool light, to warm light. I don't know if you can see the difference in your camera, but you get to adjust it based on your skin tone and how you look the best. And I actually learned that technique from watching a like behind the scenes footage of the Moulin Rouge video like a decade ago. And they talked about how in that video, they had all these cool like lighting and audio techniques. If you need something to binge watch, like watch the behind the scenes reels of your favorite movies. They talked about Nicole Kidman and how she's so light that they use blue light on her so that she like glows. I don't know if the opposite is true. I don't know if people with darker skin tones would benefit from the warmer tones. I'm not sure. You're gonna try both, and like based on what time of day it is and based on what you think looks most flattering, like you get that choice to adjust them, which is really cool. Brightness wise, this is why I like the brightness, because if you're too close, you look shiny. and you almost look sweaty. Like you look like washed out. And like, if it's a little too close, you'll be like, oh, why do I look like I just went to the gym? That's not a flattering look. So you make it kind of the right brightness and the right distance from you so that you don't get that look. So you're usually like at least an arm's length away from your lighting. Okay, that's audio, that's lighting, speaking
Audio,
into the
lighting,
camera.
and setup.
Yeah, the three. Okay, speaking into the camera, let me teach you like what you have to know here. You have to look into the camera, not at your laptop screen, because if you watch me for an hour and you only see my eyelids, you can't connect with me as a human being. Now, my camera is about 12 inches above my laptop. So like, I'm just looking into nobody right now. Like, but I know at the corner of my eyes, I can see you all down here. So you have to look into the camera. You have to, because otherwise people can't connect with you. They're not going to trust your data. The camera has to be a little bit above your eye level. Okay. Not crazy above, not like, okay. A lot of you have your webcam way too low right now. So you're going to have to change it, because a lot of you look like this because you're using your built-in laptop, and I'll teach you about that. You're using your built-in webcam. I'm going to show you what to do. So this is like exactly at eye level, and then this is like a little bit above, not up here. Okay, that looks really weird. That looks awkward, but a little bit above eye level. So what I've got behind the scenes that you can't see is I have a tripod, just a cheap like $10 or $20 tripod that you can get from anywhere. There's a tripod with an LED panel mounted on it with my laptop on top of it. And that's the classic Ann Emery setup that I've been using for years and I love. Okay, so speak into the camera, mount your camera higher. If you don't have a built-in webcam because they're all sold out, don't worry about it. Here's what you're gonna do. You are going to prop up your laptop just for the video call, not for like your full 8-hour workday, just for your video call. So you're gonna take your laptop and you're gonna put it on top of a cardboard box. You're going to put it on top of a dresser. You're going to put it on top of like, I used to use a stack of textbooks so that your laptop, you know, so your webcam is slightly above your eyes for your video call, just for your video call. And then you like take it off the cardboard box again. And it's weird because if you don't have a separate keyboard, which I don't anymore, I don't bother carrying that around anymore. You're going to be typing like this for your video call. It's not ergonomically friendly, but it's just for, you know, the hour or so that you're on camera. To benefit your audience. Okay, so you've got to use your camera if you have one. Make sure it's mounted above eye level, whether it's separate or regular. Speak into it, but not the whole time. You're going to speak into your camera about 70% of the time, because otherwise your audience is like
very
staring down. Yeah, and it gets really awkward. So you have to, like, if you don't look into your camera at all, your goal is like force yourself to look in it at all.
Yeah.
But if you look into it, if you get so used to that, like I do, you have to force yourself to kind of look away once in a while. So I have to like purposely be like, okay, let me look at my computer and let me do some thinking and let me, and like do some of that. So you're not like awkwardly staring at people.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another thing. As you're propping your laptops up, you have to zoom out your camera or stand far enough away that people can see your hands. They have to see your hands. It goes back to caveman days where you're like, hi, I don't have a weapon in my hands. I'm Ann, I'm friendly, I'm approachable. I have data that you can know, like, and trust, and you can use my data for decision-making. So you have to have your hands in the shot as much as possible. Now, this took some getting used to for me because honestly, there's some real discrimination against pregnant women in the workforce. So if you look back at a lot of my online courses with my webcam in them, I just show my head because I was purposefully trying to block out my pregnant belly. I didn't want clients to know I was pregnant, to be honest. If for when we have a third kid, I'm going to just like be brave and have the whole pregnant belly showing the whole time. But for the first two, I was like, no, I can't like lose money and not have people not hire me because I'm pregnant. And people didn't do it. They didn't mean anything bad necessarily. It was more like, I get these emails saying, oh, we were going to have you come in and speak at our conference, but we heard the great news that you're expecting. We hired somebody else instead. So it's like you lose the project before you get started. You know, so it's just, it's like those little subtle things where you're like, wait, but I'm available. Like I would only be 2 months pregnant then, or 4 months pregnant. Like I'm here. So
it's weird because Yeah, there's implicit bias where people are not, you know, consciously picking up, and then that's like more like explicit bias, which is like, yeah,
And they
I'm just
didn't, they
going to
don't mean
discriminate against
anything
you.
bad by it, but you have this happen like over and over and over
Yeah,
again. So,
yeah,
if you're pregnant right now and you have a belly to hide, like I get it. I've been there twice. I totally get it. But for the rest of you, you need to show your hands on the camera. So you're going to do like, you know, bust and up, or preferably waist and up, so you can have your hands and look friendly. You're not just going to have your hands like all distracting, like a wild and crazy person, like just using your hands for the sake of using your hands. You're going to use them really productively. So you're going to use them. What are the ways? I just taught this yesterday. I should remember. I have like slides on this. You're going to use them to count things off. So you're going to have a very structured, orderly presentation where you say, okay, today in our webinar, I'm going to talk about 3 things. Here's the first one, and then you talk about that. Here's the second one, and then you talk about that. Here's the third one, and then you talk about that. So definitely use them for counting, because it helps you as a presenter be so much more organized as you're speaking. You are also going to use your hands to indicate sizes. Like, we only had a really small sample size, or we had so many responses. It was amazing. Or the column and the column chart was really small compared to that other one that was 4 times the size. So you're going to reinforce your speaking points with your hands like that. You're also, in times like these, you're going to use your hands near your heart to indicate empathy. Like, how are you doing? I hope you're doing okay. And you're going to mean it, of course, because we're all like caring human beings. You're just reinforcing your voice with your hands. You're going to use your hands like this, and you're talking about something going on and on and on, to talk about something happening now versus in the past. All of those visual cues are critical. And I think all of us, like, this is most likely a dataviz community that we've got here. I mean, maybe somebody randomly doesn't know anything about dataviz and they're like, cool, like I'll sign up for John and Ann's chat. But most of you are dataviz people. So you know the power of visuals in your graphs, and how it's like every little tweak makes a difference in making your data better communicated. It's the same thing with your speaking skills on webcams like this.
cool.
That's
Great.
it. Those are the main points. I hit audio, lighting, camera, speaking into the camera.
Right, looking at the camera. So there are a few questions in here, and I just want to give people a chance to chat with you. So I'm going to let Brent go first. Brent has a question on online training courses, and then there's a few other questions in here too, just to give you a sense. So let me get Brent here. Where did he go?
I see him. He's got an awesome background.
Yeah,
It's
he
very
does.
uplifting.
He does.
Love it.
Tranquility. There we go. My question is about kind of your lessons learned from your online training courses. You know, there's lots of ways that you can do it. You know, there's Lynda, there's kind of like the platforms out there. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's the best way, or you could, you know, white label your own and use a platform that maybe you sell on your own website or whatever. I'd be curious about your experience and what's worked for you, or what you've been jealous of other people about, and do's and don'ts, kind of all that kind of stuff would be really helpful.
This is a day-long conversation. Okay, what would be the highlights? I've learned so much because I've been speaking, you know, forever, like since I started giving conferences out of college, you know, a whopping like 10 years ago or whatever. But then I started working for myself 6 years ago, speaking in person a lot. And then 2 years ago, I finally listened to my friend Chris Lessy, who said, "Ann, you're not afraid of the camera. That's like amazing. You don't have to like get over that fear. You need to do online courses." And I was like, nah, what are online courses? But finally 2 years ago, I listened to him. And over those 2 years, I've done, depends on how you count them, like 5-ish online courses that have, you know, 10, 20 hours of content. I have mini courses. I have a mini course I should show all of you because it's super relevant to this conversation. John, do you know, can you pull up for like screen sharing? Can I call on you to help? It's a mini course I just released about tips for remote work. And then that's a free mini course. So you can sign up, you get like 30-ish minutes of quick tips. Okay, what have I learned in 2 years? I will say, I wish I would have gone into online courses. It's not on there. It's not on there. I haven't even linked it yet. I mean, I just made this a couple of days ago. If you do depictdatastudio.teachable.com. So I use Teachable for my online courses. Okay, what have I learned from online courses? I wish I would have done them earlier. That being said, like start today. You're not behind. Now is the time. It's if you go to how to look professional on camera while suddenly working from home, it's all of my behind the scenes tours where I am talking into my cell phone saying, here's how I did the lighting. Here's how I did this. I actually have one on there, John. If you scroll down to the curriculum, there's my classic setup there. Scroll down to the curriculum to see, webcam, LED panel. Do you see my podcast process? John, you're in there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's like when we did our podcast in January, I said, here's how I did the podcast. We use Zoom, and then I turn that into a video, and then John gets the audio, and here's what I did, and here's what it looks like. Here's the equipment I use. So it's all of those behind the scenes stories. You have to register to see it, but
right.
So don't register now. I just wanted people to see where it is, and maybe you can just drop the link in the chat in case anyone wants to hear it. Okay, I wish I would have started earlier with online courses. They don't replace in-person learning, but it's a huge separate area that's growing, especially now. So if you're considering it, start today or Monday morning. Now is a great time to get into online learning. I use Teachable because there's a bunch of platforms out there. I don't think Lynda exists anymore. They got bought by LinkedIn, but there is Teachable, Thinkific, Kajabi, Curiosity. There's something like that. There's all those. There's
Skillshare.
Skillshare. Yeah. What's that other one? Udemy.
Yeah.
Udemy, where you only have your courses at $49. So it's essentially a race to the bottom. Everybody's making these $1 courses that are just very questionable content that they've just thrown together. So I use Teachable because I asked about 10 of my friends who make a living teaching online. And I don't mean $20 a month. I mean, they make $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 a year teaching online. They make a full income teaching online. And it's not even the only thing they do. They also do all of these other things. It's just this bonus, amazing, scalable business that they built. They all use Teachable. And I was okay, I don't even need to shop around. Teachable's for me. And I love Teachable. I'm not an affiliate. I don't get paid to say this. I'm just a very, very happy customer. I love them because their founder, Ankur, Ankur, he's all over online. I don't know his last name. Rajab, I think it's with the R. Ankur is so he's working so hard to improve Teachable all the time. They interview people like me and ask for our tips. They have all these focus groups and surveys all the time. They really, really take our feedback seriously. So even though there's weird technical issues from time to time with all platforms, they're constantly updating and improving based on the creators' feedback. So I love that. That's critical to me to feel heard. I also like Teachable because I feel the user interface on there is so user-friendly. I mean, let me know as you sign up for the mini course what your experience is like, but it basically just lists the syllabus on the left, and then you get the video on the right, and then you can add attachments, you can add quizzes, you can have a discussion underneath the video, you can add a text description with links, you can kind of add to the video if you'd like. They also use a video player called Wistia. So there's YouTube is technology to have videos, but they use Wistia, which I used to use back in the day. It's basically a cleaner look than YouTube. It just has a play button and a couple little settings where YouTube has 50 buttons. And I think it just looks cluttered. So I try to aim for the cleanest, smoothest learning experience possible just to make the students' lives easier. Wistia also, I'm not a Wistia affiliate either, just a huge fan. They adjust the resolution based on your internet speed. So they can tell are you on internet today? Then they'll play the 700 resolution version of the video.
Oh, nice.
Or if you're on fast internet, they'll automatically play the 1080p version of the video. So I have a lot of students in countries around the world who do international development projects or global health. So for those students, I just kind of know that even if their internet connection is not as great, it's just one less thing for them to worry about. They don't have to manually adjust it like you would with a YouTube video. Teachable has free plans and paid plans. So there's really no risk. You can sign up for the free plan and just poke around and see if you like it, and then pay later if you want. I have to pay, I think it's $99 a month, but it's less than that because I pay for a year at a time. And then they definitely do take a cut of every sale. But the alternative is I'd have to pay some type of website person to custom make the site for me. And like, who even knows who that person is? Because all those people are already working for the Teachables and the Kajabis. So, and then like, if it went down, what would I do? And the amount I'd have to pay that person to custom make something is probably way, way more than Teachable. So it's just like, I like Teachable a lot. I'm a huge fan of theirs. Other things I've learned, moving online was fairly seamless for me because I'd already been doing training. So I see people who are creating a course from scratch, and it's like, with what content, like with what handouts, with what slides, with what ideas. So if you already have a conference presentation you've given, maybe it's a 30-minute or 60-minute conference presentation, you can absolutely record that and turn it into a course already, because it's like mostly done. You're going to do some tweaking and finessing of your slides and like practice your speaking points a couple times, and then you just record. Recording, I used to use a tool called, well, actually I still use this sometimes. It's called Screencast-O-Matic. And I like it because you just like, you hit record and it's really easy. There's just a little bit of minor editing you can do. It's also really cheap. It's $18 a year. So it's like really, really affordable. I 3 months ago switched to using Camtasia because I was like, okay, duh, and online learning, it's the future. You got to take this seriously. You have to be like the best online course instructor you can possibly be. So I switched to Camtasia to have more control over the editing. And I'm not a master editor. I still mostly do the screen with my webcam in the corner, but now I can add text boxes, I pop out bits if I need to. I can add animations at the beginning. I can add sound just a little bit easier. But Screencast-O-Matic is perfectly sufficient for starting. Cool. What else have I learned? So much. The video length, it varies. So I used to think like having a single or having a bunch of 2-minute videos might be better than having a single 10-minute video. And to be honest, I'm kind of torn on that because I'm trying to monitor the data behind the scenes to see what my students like the best, because it gives you these heat maps. So you can see like how many students watch each video and what sections. So you see like yellow if they watched it and like dark orange if they watched it twice. So you can see like sections that maybe you didn't explain something really well that they had to watch 2 or 3 times to kind of get it. And then you can see, did they drop off 2 minutes in or did they watch the full 10 minutes? So I've gone back and forth on that. Right now I purposely have a mix of videos. I purposely have some like 2-minute videos and some more like 45-minute videos that are full from start to finish. I could talk about online courses all day too. So if you have more questions, like let me know, but I'll stop there for now.
Great. That's great. Let's see. Zoroya had a question, so let me unmute her.
Hi, Zoroya.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh,
hi.
Great. It's awesome to be able to talk to you. So I noticed that one of the key features about your reports is the use of icons to make things a little bit more intuitive. And I've used the nounproject.com to get some of those icons, and so I could use them into my report. Now, are there any other resources that you can think of where I could get some of those icons?
I would say I have like 4. They go this way, right? From like worst to best. Noun Project is number 3. So it's pretty darn good. The worst is a Google search. Download free icons. You're going to go to copyright jail. Let's not do that. Okay. One step up from that would be using Microsoft Office's free icons that are in there now. So if you're on Office 365, you have them. You go to insert and then you click on the icons button. There's tons in there. You can customize the color and the size. That's a great starting point for most people. If you need even more, the Noun Project. Now, the Noun Project has a free and paid version. I would recommend spending the $40 a year on the paid version if you do dataviz a lot, because the free version, it lets you download a lot of icons. It still gives you access to thousands, but if you get the paid version, you get all 2 million icons. So there's an icon for everything you need. The free version only lets you download the icons in black, but the paid version lets you download them in your custom RGB code or hex code, which I'm a huge fan of because I think colors should match branding. Also, a major pushback I hear on icons is people say, I added icons, I want to make my graph more intuitive, I want to make it more memorable. My boss hated it. And your boss probably hated it because your icons were way too big and they were way too dark. So we usually need smaller icons and lighter icons, like a gray or a branding color. So I'm not a fan of the black Noun Project icons. Also, the free version, you have to attribute the source. You have to add a little citation like, I got the icon from Bob123 on the Noun Project. So it's just one more thing to remember. And like, I get worried about going to copyright jail or getting fined. Whereas the paid version, by paying like $40 a year, you don't have to cite the icon source. So you just like don't have to remember. And it's one less piece of clutter in your report too. You don't have to have that citation. Okay, let's not do free internet searches. Office 365 is totally sufficient for most of us. If you want to spend $40, Noun Project, go for it. It's really, really good. And then the top tier that I'm just starting to see organizations do, I'd love to see more of, would be hiring a professional graphic designer to make custom icons for you. I do this with clients a lot. I don't make them, like you need an actual graphic designer, where I'm more like information designer, data designer, but I just subcontract to one of my partners and she makes them. So we listen to the client and we hear like, you know, what are the topics you might need in your graphs? We look at all the materials and then we come up with 20-ish icons that they can use over and over. And then we can make sure they match, because the thing is, if you're using Noun Project icons, that's kind of a downside, is all of these designers submit icons and some have round edges, some have square edges, some have thin lines, some have thick lines, some are like really dark and have more colored backgrounds, some are just the outlines of shapes. So they don't quite match, and it's just those little details that you want your report to look as professional as possible, and it can't if you've got inconsistencies like that. So having, you know, the top tier, my wish for you would be that graphic designer who makes a set for you. You also might have, and it's not expensive, it's like $1,000 of a graphic designer's time. Like if you're self-employed, that's like $1 million. But if you work in a large company, $1,000 for a lot of companies is a really, really tiny consulting project to get somebody to do that for you. If you need referrals, I'll give you my graphic designer's name. She does a great job.
I'll also drop in what I've done in the past is find people I like on some of the designer sites like Dribbble or Behance, and I mean, all of them that I've tried to get in touch with, if you know, they're usually accepting work. So if you like the style that they have, you can always connect with them and say, hey, I need a custom project done. That's why those sites exist. Same thing with Upwork. I use Upwork a lot for not so much design stuff, but for some of the other, you know, smaller projects. So all those great. The other thing I'd say about the Noun Project that I really like with the subscription is that you can they have an add-in that goes right into the Microsoft system. So it works the same way as that Microsoft library, but there's just more there. Although I don't know if you have this experience, and when you insert an icon from Noun Project using that PowerPoint add-in, it comes in at 8.33 inches square, which is like,
gotta be smaller, like half
yeah,
an inch.
Who needs an 8-inch square icon? That's insanity. So they have to fix that. That's a separate thing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. This is great. So Elizabeth had a question for you, and here we go.
Yeah, thanks, John. So Ann, I thought you said something about zooming out your webcam. You also talked about moving your computer back, but how do you zoom out your webcam?
So I have a Logitech webcam, which is like the webcam brand. And when I bought mine a few years ago, I feel like the package came with some information like download this software that comes with the webcam. So mine, let me show you what that looks like, just so you have like a heads up of what you're gonna have to do. Let me do some screen sharing. And I think, okay. So mine has, do you see this little like webcam icon in the bottom of my screen right here? Do you see this? It's next to Word, it's next to the eyedropper. Can you see my screen? Anybody nodding? Yeah, okay. So it comes with this thing and it literally has a zoom. So I can zoom out and I get a widescreen, which is maybe too wide, like maybe too much background. But of course it depends on what you're using the video for. And I have to like crop out the light, right? Because then it's like too glowy and you wouldn't want to have the window in. So that's probably a little bit too wide versus, when you're shopping for webcams, I know you don't have your choice of webcams right now necessarily because they're all back ordered, but in a perfect world, you're looking for one that does do widescreen, wide angle, which I think all of them do now. Like if mine had this 2 years ago, they all have it now. You know, technology gets updated so quickly. And you're looking for one that does 1080p resolution, which I think they all do now. Those are like the main things. Mine also has a little privacy screen on it, which I really like just to make sure that like people aren't watching me. when I don't have my webcam on. Who knows? I worry about like privacy, things like that. Okay, let me zoom way in and show you too. Whoa, I don't know what you need this for. Maybe if you were, and then look, I can do controls. It's like staring at you. So you have to do the head and shoulders, or a little bit more than shoulders, about like, probably about like that. Maybe that's too much. What did I have before? Maybe like this, so that my hands are like a little bit awkwardly up, but I try to show them once in a while too, so that I look trustworthy. Oh, because there's a study, I don't have the citation because like I've got a million things on my mind, but there's some study like you rated speakers who showed their hands versus didn't. And the ones who showed their hands were rated as 40% more trustworthy. So like, you've got to show your hands. Okay. So you have to like zoom in and out accordingly. And then my webcam, oh, this is the one I have, C930E. Look at the advanced settings. And I usually stick with the auto button. It somehow like picks up on lighting, but I'll show you, it does like weird things. Like now I'm way too yellowy. I'm way too warm. So you can, and then like I'm way too cool. So I usually stick with, like this. Yep. Great. You have to adjust this though almost every day, depending on if you're recording in the morning or at night. Ideally, You're doing like 11 to 2-ish when you've got some sun. I know that depends on what part of the world you're in, but ideally midday. Because late at night, I know Dave had a question about, that he emailed to me about getting reflections in your glasses. I wear glasses, I wear contacts. I try to do contacts for video because of that, but I know when I wear my glasses, I can't record in low lighting with glasses. Like I can't record past like maybe 3 p.m. if I have my glasses on, because I get too much reflection from the lights in the screen in my glasses. So I wonder if doing like daylight hours helps with that. I don't know. I don't know if there's any like webcam setting that you can control with that. Let us know, Dave, what you find out, because I'd actually love to start wearing my glasses more if I could figure that out.
I will say this, it's interesting because today it's pretty cloudy here in Northern Virginia. And it's, you know, the lighting in my office, so I'm facing, my windows in front of me, so the lighting is very different today than it was yesterday when it was nice and blue skies and sunny. So yeah, so it'd be interesting to be able to play with those settings for sure. Yeah. Are there any other questions out there? I think we've covered a lot, Ann. I think you've helped everybody figure out how to work from home for the next X number of days. I hope people enjoyed today. I hope you'll keep coming back. I'll just share quickly my screen so you can see what we've got coming up. Again, these are all, you know, the goal is just to connect and ask questions. So RJ Andrews will be with me on Monday. Allison Feldman, a colleague of mine at the Urban Institute, who's a graphic designer, will be here. Andy Kirk, if you're in the dataviz field, you know Andy. And of course, Andy knows Ann and I. If you listen to the podcast that Ann and I did, I don't know, it feels like a lifetime ago now. This is probably like 2 weeks ago. You can find out that. And then Harry Stevens from the Washington Post. I assume everybody has seen the little animated dots on the Washington Post website. That is Harry. He's going to talk about that and and behind the scenes on that. So I think regardless of your politics, whenever Barack Obama retweets something you've worked on, that has got to be like a day that you can chalk up as success. Eka Rivera from Presentation Guild and her own work will be here. And then next week and the week after, I've got 2 more of my colleagues who are doing data and data science stuff at the Urban Institute, and have a list of other people who are interested. So again, the goal here is just to be able to connect and hang out and have some chats. I'm going to try to do some more earlier in the day, my time, Eastern time, so that folks in Europe can tune in, and maybe Asia, although I haven't figured out the world. I had to learn about the international dateline the other day just to figure all this out. So, Ann, do you want to do you have any final, you've given us a lot of wisdom, but do you have any final wisdom you want to leave us with? I
want to take our group picture, like a screenshot or a picture with my phone. So everybody has to turn your webcam on. Be brave. Do it. Let's connect. And everybody's going to look really friendly. But John, you have to make your screen go away for a second.
I do. I was just trying to figure out what am I doing wrong? There we go. Okay. There we go.
Okay, everybody turn your webcam on. Yeah, look pretty real quick. I'm just gonna take our picture. I'm gonna do the old-fashioned way with like an actual camera.